Hello and welcome back to Motorshed. Today I went to the Chesterfield MotorFest, the first event of its kind in Chesterfield. I thought I'd pop along and have a look to see what it was about, see if there was any interesting cars I could film for you guys. So I only managed to stop by for an hour and a half. If they do it again next year, I hope to spend a bit more time and cover it in a bit more detail. I believe they were kind of processions through the town and also awards given, things like that. So I missed all of that. I arrived kind of between 9:30 and 11 o'clock, just as a lot of the cars were arriving. So I don't know how many cars were there in total at its peak, but while I was there in the morning, there was probably up to 200 cars, maybe 150. So Chesterfield MotorFest was a one-day event in the town centre of Chesterfield. So starting in the market square, kind of spreading out from there. It was centred around a fairly large auto jumble, if you're into that sort of thing. But I just went to have a look at the cars, see what it was about, and yeah, have a look. So we start off with what I think is pre-war cars. So some old Bentleys, Rolls Royces, that sort of thing. So your more prestigious cars from donkey's years ago, as I would say. I like this sort of thing. I don't necessarily know what I'm looking at, but I can appreciate these types of cars. Amazing to see how they've survived through decade after decade and still look and sound, drive so well. There was this very nice example of a Porsche 911, one of the fairly early models. Again, not too familiar with the Porsche range from this era, but it was in fantastic looking condition. I think we might have peaked a bit too soon here with these Porsche Carreras. If you don't like red, we also have green. But I do mean, I think that those were the best cars at the event today. It was a shame they were parked next to a couple of really crappy looking Toyota MR2s dressed up to look like Ferraris. This isn't one. This old Dino was genuine. Here we have a Roush Mustang. I don't know if this is actually a Foose design one or not. It's got a Foose badge on the back, but you know, quite different in terms of Mustangs. I quite liked it. It got presents. So here we have a modern day Focus RS in grey. Looks quite nice. Here's a Shelby Cobra replica. You see quite a lot of these at car shows, but they're always very nice. Lovely motor in this one. Done to a decent specification, this car. So was one of the nice cars at the event. I found myself drawn more towards the American stuff, to be honest, just because it's a bit different. You don't see it all the time. As I said, a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at here, I don't really know what it is, but can appreciate nice looking cars, no matter when they were built. This, as I did mention, I hate MGs, but this is I believe a 1958 model. it just looks worlds apart from the MGs that I'm used to seeing in the UK. This was actually imported over from the States, so that might explain why, but very nice this was. Beautifully restored about 15 years ago, but looks like it was restored yesterday. It's been taken care of, loved, and it's worth it. It's a really nice looking car, definitely one of the best at the event. So this is an example of the terrible British cars that I'm not interested in at all. I mean, really, why? And it's clear some people just came for the free parking. There were quite a few cars which I was gobsmacked to see on display. Here we have a selection of Jaguar XKs in sort of racing livery. I don't know too much about where these cars came from or what they were all about. Wasn't there long enough to find out, but they looked quite cool, all parked next to each other. You know, fairly standard looking cars, especially inside, but with crazy liveries and wings and things like that. So you think that wing is ludicrous? Look at that one. So they all kind of look like Matchbox cars, I think, but cool nonetheless. And that looks like the wing off a Escort Cosworth, RS Cosworth. And here's a nice example, a very standard model. I was really drawn to this car or van. It kind of the rat rod look to it, but it was done really nice. The hand painted graphics on the side as well were excellent work. But it's just a really cool looking van. I just found myself drawn to it. Something a bit different, a bit quirky. I like that sort of thing. And more American truckness. And a Rolls-Royce limousine. Very posh. There's a nice collection of minis there. Quite a few turned out. Goodness, jet black one, this very original looking one here. Again, I don't know too much about the original minis, but these were all nice examples. Clearly well looked after. The Mazda MX-5 Owners Club were out in force by the looks of it. And here we have a completely standard Ford Capri, restored to impeccable standards. I'm just being sarcastic. And this was very nice. I don't know if this is vote legal or not, but it looked pretty cool. Zach Speed tribute. Absolutely huge wing on it. And a Lotus Esprit. I'm not sure if this is I think this is a slightly later model than the one that appeared in the Bond film, but very nice to see. Some classic fire engines, etc. So there was a decent turnout of American cars at the Chesterfield MotorFest. I really like American classics. I just think when you look at the sort of cars the Brits were knocking out back in the 50s and 60s, and you look at the sort of stuff that the Americans were building at the same time, that's really why I don't like British classic cars, because they look so inferior to the American cars at the same time. I mean, the styling of these classic American cars is beautiful, and they look so good today. Not sure about the flames, but very nice cars. But they are absolutely huge, all of them. This was pretty darn cool. A few hot rods there. This was definitely one of the nicer ones. It looks very comfortable as well. I've gone a long journey in that one. But yeah, got some very nice cool touches there. There's loads of attention to detail. The sort of thing you could just ogle for a good half hour, take it all in. This one as well was very nice, parked next to it. The paintwork on this was really nice. Trying to show you there, but doesn't do it justice really. So yeah, that just about wraps up my footage from the Chesterfield MotorFest. Hopefully they'll do it again next year. There did seem to be quite a few people there. I went for fairly early on, so I can only imagine it got a bit busier after lunchtime. There were more cars there than I was anticipating. It was a decent turnout. I just think it would have been nice to see some supercars there for next year. So any of the organisers, if you're watching, we always like to see supercars, modern and classic. For me, the highlights were definitely the two 911 Carreras. So that just about wraps that up. So organisers of the Chesterfield MotorFest, I hope you do it again next year. It's definitely an event that has potential. It'd be nice to see some supercars there for next year if you could arrange that. Otherwise, yeah, pretty good. I was impressed with the turnout. A lot of decent American cars, some nice pre-war cars there. I guess it could have been a bit more unified as to what was displayed when. It was a bit kind of all over the place, but otherwise, yeah, good free event. I hope to see you again next year. So thank you very much for watching. Look out for more from Motorshed very soon. Bye bye.